No sooner had I transmigrated, Serena wanted to make a fool of me, and I was dizzy. At the banquet, Serena wanted to steal the spotlight, I got triggered, and I was dizzy. Then Serena kept targeting me, I was dizzy, super dizzy. In the end, I didn't expect that it wouldn't be me, the fragile one, who collapsed first, but Serena. She actually went crazy. When the smell of disinfectant mixed with expensive perfume wafted into my nostrils, I thought my low blood sugar had acted up again, and I stumbled, dizzy, onto a bench in the campus infirmary. After all, I'm the fragile college student, acknowledged across the entire internet. My specialty is being physically weak but strong-willed, shattering at a touch, collapsing from fatigue, fainting from hunger, and getting heart palpitations from a scare. I get dizzy going to 8 a.m. classes, I get dizzy running 800 meters, and even failing to grab the last piece of sweet and sour pork ribs in the cafeteria can make my vision go black. My health checkup report had more abnormal indicators than my professional course notes. The doctor said I was the ceiling of modern youth subhealth, essentially hanging on by a thread, even breathing is an effort. But this time when I opened my eyes, there were no familiar white walls of the campus infirmary, no anxious big faces of my roommates, and no sigh of my counselor's frustration at my lack of progress. Before my eyes was a living room decorated like a palace from a historical drama. The crystal chandelier made my eyes dizzy. On a leather sofa sat 3 people, a middle-aged couple, elegantly dressed and with refined features, and next to them stood a girl in a white dress, with delicate features and a look that evoked pity. I looked down at myself, wearing a faded, old-school uniform, my hair disheveled over my shoulders, and clutching a half-eaten coarse-grain biscuit. I stood at a loss in the center of the lavish, glittering room, like a beggar who had wandered into a mansion. The next second, the elegantly made-up, graceful woman's eyes reddened, and she stretched out a trembling hand towards me, saying, "Harper, my daughter, you've finally come home. I'm your mother." The man next to her had a solemn expression, his eyes filled with guilt and scrutiny, saying, 18 years ago, the hospital made a mistake and swapped the babies. You are our true biological daughter, Harper, of the Harrison family. And this one next to us, this is Serena, whom we've raised all these years." Harrison family? Harper? Serena? Out of 10 wealthy families, 5 are named Gu, 2 are named Fu, and the rest are Lee, Lin, Xia. And now I'm standing in the Harrison family's home as their newly found true daughter? Are you kidding me? My entire big university just vanished? But considering my body, maybe my low blood sugar acted up, I face-planted, got a nosebleed, and choked on my own breath. That's the most likely way I could have died. And Harper and Serena sound so familiar. I think I've heard those names before. Suddenly, a light bulb went off. No, rather, a wave of dizziness hit me, and I remembered where I'd heard those names. Isn't this that melodramatic true and fake daughter novel I stayed up all night reading yesterday? As a fragile college student, my biggest hobby was lying in bed reading brainless, feel-good novels. They didn't require any thought and helped alleviate the anxiety caused by my physical weakness. I had just reached the 3rd chapter of the wealthy family's true and fake daughter, overbearing CEO Daddy's doting love. It told the story of the true daughter Harper being brought back to the wealthy family, only to be despised by everyone because she was crude, unsophisticated, and didn't know etiquette. The fake daughter Serena, a white lotus pretending to be weak, completely trampled the true daughter. Eventually, the true daughter was kicked out of the family, died miserably, and the fake daughter inherited all the family's assets. And I had transmigrated into that true daughter, Harper, whose beginning was hell, who was constantly suppressed throughout the story, and who ultimately died a tragic death. What's worse, the exact moment I transmigrated was the novel's most classic scene, the wealthy family's recognition of their long-lost daughter. According to the original plot, the true daughter, that is, me, should have been excitedly crying her eyes out, kneeling before her biological parents to recount years of suffering. Then, provoked by a few ambiguous words from the fake daughter, she would immediately lose her temper, appearing rude and ill-mannered, thereby leaving a terrible first impression on the Harrison parents. I looked at the fake daughter Serena, a white lotus with perfect expression management, before me, and I saw the fleeting look of disdain in the Harrison parents' eyes. Why is this child so unsophisticated? My brain instantly crashed. The next second, my body's instinct kicked in before my reason could. Family reunion? Wealthy family? True and fake daughters? Stimulation. My little heart, constantly lacking blood, with an irregular rhythm and prone to crashing at any stimulation, gave a thump and my vision instantly went black. Under the shocked gazes of the Harrison parents and Serena, I fell straight forward, fainting on the spot. Harper. Miss. Doctor. Call the family doctor quickly. The living room instantly devolved into chaos. My last thought before losing consciousness was, damn it, my fragile college student, physique transmigrated with me. And the way I fell was a bit embarrassing. When I woke up again, I was lying on a large bed as soft as clouds, in a room so big you could run horses in it. The decor was light luxury, a style I'd only ever seen in videos of influencer mansions. No wonder the wealthy families described in novels are so rich. They really are rich. A circle of people surrounded the bed. The Harrison parents had tightly furrowed brows. The family doctor, holding a stethoscope, had an expression as serious as if he were resuscitating a critically ill patient. Serena held a glass of warm water, her eyes red, looking extremely worried. Her voice was so soft it could drip water. Sister, you're finally awake. You scared us to death just now. Are you feeling unwell? According to the original novel, at this point, the true daughter would have, out of jealousy for Serena's gentle demeanor, knocked over the water glass and accused her of being a hypocrite. Then she would be scolded by Mrs. Harrison for being senseless and petty-minded. But I was a fragile college student. As soon as I tried to prop myself up to sit, I felt dizzy, my limbs weak, and I didn't even have the strength to lift my hand. My throat was as dry as if I'd swallowed sandpaper. I could only weakly blink my eyes, my voice as faint as a mosquito's buzz. Dizzy. No strength. Just that one sentence exhausted all my strength. For me, this state was already standard operating procedure, but in the doctor's eyes, it was different. The family doctor immediately stepped forward, gently held me down, and said with a serious tone, Mr. Harrison, Mrs. Harrison, Mrs. Body is extremely weak. She is severely malnourished, anemic, has an irregular heartbeat, low blood pressure, and low blood sugar. Her overall bodily functions are below standard. Simply put, Mrs. Body is worse than that of a 70 or 80-year-old. She cannot withstand any stimulation, much less get angry, fatigued, or agitated. Miss needs complete rest. Mrs. Harrison's face instantly went pale. Her gaze towards me was filled with guilt, saying, Harper, how much hardship have you endured all these years outside? Mr. Harrison also sighed. The dissatisfaction he originally felt due to my unsophisticated appearance was instantly replaced by heartache, as he said, Our Harrison family has wronged you. From now on, you will rest well and recover at home. You don't have to do anything or worry about anything. To the side, Serena's hand, holding the water glass, paused imperceptibly. The gentle smile on her face froze for a split second, so quickly that one could barely catch it. The moment I looked over, she immediately reverted to her delicate appearance, speaking softly, so that's how it is. Sister's health is so poor. I will definitely take good care of her from now on. Daddy, Mommy, Sister just returned. Let's not disturb her rest. Let Sister have a good sleep. Harrison mother nodded repeatedly upon hearing this. Serena is indeed sensible. I lay on the bed, staring at the ceiling, silently sighing in my heart. Other people who transmigrate either unleash powerful cheats to deal with villains and slap faces, or lounge around enjoying a lavish life. But me? It's bad enough I transmigrated as the true daughter, but I also brought along my fragile college student body. Angry? Fuming? Vengeance? Don't be ridiculous. I feel tired just taking a couple extra breaths. 3 minutes of anger could send me straight to the ICU with heart palpitations. Taking revenge, that kind of mentally and physically demanding work, I can't do it and I wouldn't dare. My life goal has never been about making a comeback, but about living, breathing, not fainting, and getting sick less often. Just as I thought I could quietly lie down and recover, the door was gently pushed open. An elderly man in a butler's uniform respectfully stood at the doorway. "Sir, madam, miss, your luggage has been brought from the old house." Luggage? I instantly remembered the original plot, the true daughter's luggage from her adoptive family in the countryside, full of worn-out clothes and cheap items, which Serena later deliberately displayed in the living room for the Harrison family's servants to secretly mock, thoroughly solidifying her reputation as the rustic true daughter. Sure enough, the next second, Serena spoke softly and weakly, "Mom and Dad, I'll help Sister bring in her luggage. Sister isn't feeling well and shouldn't overexert herself." Harrison's mother was very pleased and immediately nodded. "Good child, thank you for your trouble." I lay on the bed, alarm bells ringing in my head. No, I can't let her bring it in. A box full of junk, coupled with my fragile body. If the servants start pointing and whispering, I'll get anxious and upset and absolutely faint again. I wanted to speak up and stop her, but I had no strength throughout my body, only managing a weak gasp. Don't take it." But because my voice was too soft, no one heard it. At this moment, Serena had already walked out quickly. Soon, she rolled in a dilapidated snakeskin bag on a small cart. The bag had a large hole, and the old clothes, worn-out shoes, and plastic basin inside were all exposed, completely out of place in this luxurious room. Harrison's mother's brows instantly furrowed, a trace of ill-concealed disgust flashing in her eyes. The surrounding servants also lowered their heads, secretly exchanging glances, trying to suppress their smiles. Serena stood beside the snakeskin bag, her eyes reddened, and she said to me with a look of guilt, "Sister, I'm sorry. I didn't know your luggage was like this. I didn't mean to embarrass you." Classic White Lotus rhetoric, playing the victim and the virtuous one at the same time. According to the original plot, I should have exploded. But now I only felt my vision go black. Blood rushed to my head, my heart pounding thump thump thump, and breathing become difficult. Being mocked as rustic? Being looked down upon? Oh dear. As a fragile college student, I used to cry from feeling wronged when classmates joked about my weakness or teachers called me delicate. Now, with so many people staring at my shabby luggage and pointing fingers, my emotional defenses completely shattered. Tears streamed down uncontrollably, not faked, but cried out of genuine grievance, and also from physical discomfort. I choked, my voice trembling uncontrollably. I'm not crying on purpose. I just feel dizzy, uncomfortable. As soon as I finished speaking, my vision went black again, a second fainting spell. This time I passed out completely, without any consciousness, not even hearing the doctor call out, heart rate dropping sharply. When I woke up again, the room was quiet. The dilapidated snakeskin bag was gone without a trace, and Serena wasn't there. Only Harrison's mother sat by the bed, her eyes red, holding my hand and constantly wiping away tears. "Harper, Mom was wrong. Mom shouldn't have disliked your things. We made you feel wronged. I've already had your luggage put away. No one is allowed to laugh at you. Anyone who dares to say a word of gossip will be directly kicked out of the Harrison family. You're not well. From now on, we won't compare anything, won't compete for anything. Just stay home and take good care of your health, all right?" I blinked and nodded weakly. Oh my, it worked out unexpectedly well. I hadn't intended to crush villains or fight back. It was just because of my fragile body, which couldn't handle any stimulation. One stimulus, I'd faint. One fainting spell, and the Harrison parents would feel distressed. Once distressed, they'd automatically blame whatever stimulated me. Serena's first act of malice not only failed to make me disliked, but instead completely solidified the Harrison parents' determination to protect their biological daughter well. I lay on the bed, wrapped in soft blankets, silently setting my transmigration survival rules for myself. No anger, no exertion, no excitement, no arguments, no crushing villains, no unhealthy competition. My main focus is to lie flat and recover. If I can sit, I won't stand. If I can lie, I won't sit. If I can faint, I'll faint. Safety first. As for the true and fake daughter drama? Sorry, I'm a fragile college student. My life is more precious than gold, and I don't have the energy to participate in such melodramatic plots. But I didn't expect this to be just the beginning. My fragile constitution not only became my life-preserving charm, but also the first knife to tear open Serena's mask. And the secrets hidden in this wealthy family were far more terrifying than what was written in the original novel. I lay in the Harrison family home for 3 whole days, living the lying flat life that a fragile college student could only dream of. No waking up early for 8 a.m. classes, no running 800 meters, no homework, because there wasn't any, no fighting for food in the cafeteria. 3 meals a day were brought to my bedside, fruit was cut and fed to my mouth, and doctors were on 24-hour standby. The Harrison parents treated me like a fragile glass doll, not daring to speak loudly. Serena, on the other hand, visited every day, serving tea and water, asking about my well-being, so gentle and considerate she was beyond reproach. But I could see the intense hostility and impatience hidden in her eyes when she looked at me. After all, this suddenly appearing true daughter, had stolen 18 years of love and attention that originally belonged to her. If it were me, I wouldn't be pleased either. But I didn't care. All I wanted was to lie quietly, nurse my body back to health, and at least stop fainting at the slightest provocation. And in this room, with so many people watching, Serena couldn't do anything even if she wanted to. Just when I thought things would continue this way. Alas, even when the tree desires quiet, the wind refuses to cease. As a top-tier wealthy family, the Harrisons had numerous social obligations. To formally announce my return to the family, Father and Mother Harrison declared they would host a grand banquet, inviting celebrities and influential figures from across the city to officially introduce me, the true daughter of the Harrison family. When the news reached me, I was on my bed munching on a strawberry. Hearing this, the strawberry plunked onto the bedsheet. A banquet? Fine, a standard fixture for the elite. A crowd? The fake daughter would definitely have a scheme. Noisy? They'd definitely be gossiping about the real and fake daughters, especially my appearance, upbringing, and attire. Socializing? It was guaranteed that friends of the fake daughter would come up to talk to me, or even dig a pit for me to fall into. Most importantly, if I attended, I'd have to wear high heels, a gown, and plaster a smile on my face while dealing with a bunch of strangers. I instantly felt tightness in my chest, shortness of breath, and my vision started to blur with stars. I couldn't wear high heels for a second. I couldn't even handle eye rolls, let alone face a group of strangers. I have social anxiety. No, I'm not going. I shook my head frantically, my voice tinged with a sob. I'm not going. Too many people. I'll faint. Seeing my frightened expression, Mother Harrison immediately stroked my back gently, her heart aching for me. No, if Harper doesn't want to go, she doesn't have to. Mama won't force you. Father Harrison, standing at the foot of the bed, frowned, but the invitations have already been sent out. Everyone in the city knows we've found our biological daughter. If we don't attend, people will gossip. Just then, Serena walked in, carrying a glass of milk, and said softly, "Daddy, Mommy, Sister isn't well. It's really not suitable for her to go to such a noisy place, or she'll faint again. How about I attend in Sister's place? I'm quite familiar with these kinds of occasions and won't embarrass the Harrison family." At these words, Father Harrison's eyes flickered. In his heart, Serena had been the Harrison family's respectable young lady for 18 years, elegant and proper, good at socializing. She was indeed more suitable to stand at an elite banquet than me, the sickly, timid true daughter. I lay on the bed, watching the fleeting smugness in Serena's eyes, and understood her perfectly. She just wanted to use this banquet to solidify her status as the Harrison family's daughter, to make everyone believe that she was the one truly worthy of the Harrison name, and that the Harrison parents still doted on her. As for me, I was just a sickly invalid who couldn't be presented in public. According to the original plot, the true daughter, out of jealousy, would stubbornly force herself to attend the banquet. As a result, she would embarrass herself in public due to her ignorance of high society etiquette, becoming the laughingstock of the entire event. Serena, on the other hand, would shine with her graceful manners and a piano performance, becoming the center of attention. But I wasn't the original owner. I was a fragile college student. Make me tough it out? Impossible, absolutely impossible. My body was more honest than my resolve. The thought of wearing high heels for several hours, enduring the scrutiny and questions of a crowd, and being compared to Serena on the same stage, immediately sent my heart rate soaring and my hands and feet turning ice cold. I can't breathe. I clutched my chest, my brows tightly furrowed, my face instantly pale. Doctor. Call the doctor. Seeing my frightened expression, Mother Harrison immediately stroked my back gently, her heart aching for me. No, if Harper doesn't want to go, she doesn't have to. Mama won't force you. Father Harrison, standing at the foot of the bed, frowned, but the invitations have already been sent out. Everyone in the city knows we've found our biological daughter. If we don't attend, people will gossip. Just then, Serena walked in, carrying a glass of milk, and said softly, "Daddy, Mommy, Sister isn't well. It's really not suitable for her to go to such a noisy place, or she'll faint again. How about I attend in Sister's place? I'm quite familiar with these kinds of occasions and won't embarrass the Harrison family." At these words, Father Harrison's eyes flickered. In his heart, Serena had been the Harrison family's respectable young lady for 18 years, elegant and proper, good at socializing. She was indeed more suitable to stand at an elite banquet than me, the sickly, timid true daughter. I lay on the bed, watching the fleeting smugness in Serena's eyes, and understood her perfectly. She just wanted to use this banquet to solidify her status as the Harrison family's daughter, to make everyone believe that she was the one truly worthy of the Harrison name, and that the Harrison parents still doted on her. As for me, I was just a sickly invalid who couldn't be presented in public. According to the original plot, the true daughter, out of jealousy, would stubbornly force herself to attend the banquet. As a result, she would embarrass herself in public due to her ignorance of high society etiquette, becoming the laughingstock of the entire event. Serena, on the other hand, would shine with her graceful manners and a piano performance, becoming the center of attention. But I wasn't the original owner. I was a fragile college student. Make me tough it out? Impossible, absolutely impossible. My body was more honest than my resolve. The thought of wearing high heels for several hours, enduring the scrutiny and questions of a crowd, and being compared to Serena on the same stage, immediately sent my heart rate soaring and my hands and feet turning ice cold. I can't breathe. I clutched my chest, my brows tightly furrowed, my face instantly pale. Doctor. Call the doctor. Seeing my frightened expression, Mother Harrison immediately stroked my back gently, her heart aching for me. No, if Harper doesn't want to go, she doesn't have to. Mama won't force you. Father Harrison, standing at the foot of the bed, frowned, but the invitations have already been sent out. Everyone in the city knows we've found our biological daughter. If we don't attend, people will gossip. Just then, Serena walked in, carrying a glass of milk, and said softly, "Daddy, Mommy, Sister isn't well. It's really not suitable for her to go to such a noisy place, or she'll faint again. How about I attend in Sister's place? I'm quite familiar with these kinds of occasions and won't embarrass the Harrison family." At these words, Father Harrison's eyes flickered. In his heart, Serena had been the Harrison family's respectable young lady for 18 years, elegant and proper, good at socializing. She was indeed more suitable to stand at an elite banquet than me, the sickly, timid true daughter. I lay on the bed, watching the fleeting smugness in Serena's eyes, and understood her perfectly. She just wanted to use this banquet to solidify her status as the Harrison family's daughter, to make everyone believe that she was the one truly worthy of the Harrison name, and that the Harrison parents still doted on her. As for me, I was just a sickly invalid who couldn't be presented in public. According to the original plot, the true daughter, out of jealousy, would stubbornly force herself to attend the banquet. As a result, she would embarrass herself in public due to her ignorance of high society etiquette, becoming the laughingstock of the entire event. Serena, on the other hand, would shine with her graceful manners and a piano performance, becoming the center of attention. But I wasn't the original owner. I was a fragile college student. Make me tough it out? Impossible, absolutely impossible. My body was more honest than my resolve. The thought of wearing high heels for several hours, enduring the scrutiny and questions of a crowd, and being compared to Serena on the same stage, immediately sent my heart rate soaring and my hands and feet turning ice cold. I can't breathe. I clutched my chest, my brows tightly furrowed, my face instantly pale. Doctor. Call the doctor. Seeing my frightened expression, Mother Harrison immediately stroked my back gently, her heart aching for me. No, if Harper doesn't want to go, she doesn't have to. Mama won't force you. Father Harrison, standing at the foot of the bed, frowned, but the invitations have already been sent out. Everyone in the city knows we've found our biological daughter. If we don't attend, people will gossip. Just then, Serena walked in, carrying a glass of milk, and said softly, "Daddy, Mommy, Sister isn't well. It's really not suitable for her to go to such a noisy place, or she'll faint again. How about I attend in Sister's place? I'm quite familiar with these kinds of occasions and won't embarrass the Harrison family." At these words, Father Harrison's eyes flickered. In his heart, Serena had been the Harrison family's respectable young lady for 18 years, elegant and proper, good at socializing. She was indeed more suitable to stand at an elite banquet than me, the sickly, timid true daughter. I lay on the bed, watching the fleeting smugness in Serena's eyes, and understood her perfectly. She just wanted to use this banquet to solidify her status as the Harrison family's daughter, to make everyone believe that she was the one truly worthy of the Harrison name, and that the Harrison parents still doted on her. As for me, I was just a sickly invalid who couldn't be presented in public. According to the original plot, the true daughter, out of jealousy, would stubbornly force herself to attend the banquet. As a result, she would embarrass herself in public due to her ignorance of high society etiquette, becoming the laughingstock of the entire event. Serena, on the other hand, would shine with her graceful manners and a piano performance, becoming the center of attention. But I wasn't the original owner. I was a fragile college student. Make me tough it out? Impossible, absolutely impossible. My body was more honest than my resolve. The thought of wearing high heels for several hours, enduring the scrutiny and questions of a crowd, and being compared to Serena on the same stage, immediately sent my heart rate soaring and my hands and feet turning ice cold. I can't breathe. I clutched my chest, my brows tightly furrowed, my face instantly pale. Doctor. Call the doctor. Seeing my frightened expression, Mother Harrison immediately stroked my back gently, her heart aching for me. No, if Harper doesn't want to go, she doesn't have to. Mama won't force you. Father Harrison, standing at the foot of the bed, frowned, but the invitations have already been sent out. Everyone in the city knows we've found our biological daughter. If we don't attend, people will gossip. Just then, Serena walked in, carrying a glass of milk, and said softly, "Daddy, Mommy, Sister isn't well. It's really not suitable for her to go to such a noisy place, or she'll faint again. How about I attend in Sister's place? I'm quite familiar with these kinds of occasions and won't embarrass the Harrison family." At these words, Father Harrison's eyes flickered. In his heart, Serena had been the Harrison family's respectable young lady for 18 years, elegant and proper, good at socializing. She was indeed more suitable to stand at an elite banquet than me, the sickly, timid true daughter. I lay on the bed, watching the fleeting smugness in Serena's eyes, and understood her perfectly. She just wanted to use this banquet to solidify her status as the Harrison family's daughter, to make everyone believe that she was the one truly worthy of the Harrison name, and that the Harrison parents still doted on her. As for me, I was just a sickly invalid who couldn't be presented in public. According to the original plot, the true daughter, out of jealousy, would stubbornly force herself to attend the banquet. As a result, she would embarrass herself in public due to her ignorance of high society etiquette, becoming the laughingstock of the entire event. Serena, on the other hand, would shine with her graceful manners and a piano performance, becoming the center of attention. But I wasn't the original owner. I was a fragile college student. Make me tough it out? Impossible, absolutely impossible. My body was more honest than my resolve. The thought of wearing high heels for several hours, enduring the scrutiny and questions of a crowd, and being compared to Serena on the same stage, immediately sent my heart rate soaring and my hands and feet turning ice cold. I can't breathe. I clutched my chest, my brows tightly furrowed, my face instantly pale. Doctor. Call the doctor. Mother Harrison was scared out of her wits by my appearance. She immediately pressed the call bell and angrily told Father Harrison, "It's all your fault," insisting Harper go to some banquet. "If anything happens to Harper, I'm done with you." This was her daughter, whom she had finally found after so much difficulty. The family doctor, who had been waiting outside, rushed in at the cries from within. After checking my heart rate, his face changed drastically. "Mr. Harrison, Mrs. Heart rate is too fast, accompanied by mild hypoxia. She must rest immediately and absolutely must not be exposed to any external stimuli, otherwise it could lead to shock." Father Harrison's face turned white. He dared not mention the banquet again and repeatedly apologized. "It's my fault, Harper. Daddy won't force you. You rest well." Serena stood by, the smile on her lips completely frozen. The veins on her hand, clutching the cup, bulged out. She had meticulously prepared for so long, just to overshadow me at the banquet. But I simply fell ill and took to bed, rendering all her schemes useless. However, in the end, the banquet still proceeded as scheduled. The invitations had already been sent out, and some of the guests were business partners of the Harrison family, so it couldn't be easily canceled. I lay in bed, enjoying the air conditioning, eating fruit, and watching the live broadcast. Serena, dressed in a haute couture gown, held Mother and Father Harrison's hands, elegantly chatted with the guests, and became the most dazzling presence at the entire event. A maid brought the freshest cherries, smiling as she said, "Miss, you're so smart. It's good you didn't go. The banquet is so crowded and noisy. You're frail. You wouldn't be able to handle it." I chewed on a cherry, nodding profusely. That's right, lying low is the best policy. Dealing with scum? Unnecessary. Fighting for favor? No energy. As long as I'm fragile enough, weak enough, and prone to fainting, all the backstabbing and intrigue can't touch me. Although I don't want this delicate body, I was born this way. There's nothing I can do. And the original owner seemed to have some health issues too. Otherwise, she wouldn't have gotten so excited on the road upon learning she was the true daughter that she passed out. Though, if we were to compare, the original owner's body was at least stronger than mine. Just when I thought this banquet had nothing to do with me, the door suddenly burst open. Mother Harrison rushed in, her face ashen, followed by a grim-faced Father Harrison and a teary-eyed, disheveled Serena. My cherry was still in my mouth. I jumped in surprise. What happened? Did the banquet explode, or did someone crash it? Why didn't I see anything on the live broadcast? Judging by the fake daughter's appearance, I'm guessing she got too carried away and someone beat her up? Serena threw herself at Mother Harrison, crying piteously, "Mommy, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I really didn't mean to. They kept asking about sister and I couldn't help it." I blinked blankly, then raised a finger and pointed at myself. Me? What does it have to do with me? I was lying comfortably in my room. I didn't even go downstairs. Mrs. Harrison took a deep breath, sat on the edge of my bed, her voice a mix of heartache and anger. "Harper, those blind fools, they mocked you at the banquet, called you a country bumpkin unsuitable for high society, said your poor health was just an act, and that you'd shamed our Harrison family completely." Wait, I wasn't even there, and I still got mocked? I threw my hands up in exasperation. This was just an undeserved calamity. But if it were the original true daughter from the novel, she would surely be stomping her feet in anger right now, crying and making a scene. Then, provoked by a few words from Serena, she would lash out at others, appearing even more immature, and leaving a bad impression on the Harrison parents. But I'm not the original owner. I don't have her temper. I'm just a frail-bodied college student. To be slandered, mocked, and smeared for no reason, I'm so wronged. The injustice overwhelmed me, instantly making my chest feel tight, my head spin, and tears stream down my face. It wasn't an act. It was genuine indignation. Who did I offend? I'm just lying here recuperating and I still get cursed at? I didn't. I wasn't pretending. I sobbed, clutching my chest, my breathing becoming increasingly rapid. I feel terrible. Truly terrible. As soon as my emotions flared up, my body immediately signaled an alarm. My vision started to black out, my limbs began to convulse, and faint gasps escaped my throat, directly triggering the frail college student's stress response, hyperventilation syndrome. Harper. Doctor. Quick. The room plunged into chaos once more. The family doctor rushed in, his face numb, immediately putting me on oxygen and checking my blood pressure. His tone was slightly urgent. Not good. Miss is hyperventilating. Electrolytes are unbalanced. We must inject a sedative immediately. Mrs. Harrison watched my suffering, crying loudly out of heartache. She turned and roared at Mr. Harrison, do you see? Those people are trying to kill our daughter. I'm telling you, Arthur, not a single one of those who mocked Harper today will get away. I'll make them pay. Mr. Harrison's face was so grim it looked like it could drip water. He pulled out his phone and directly issued orders. Put everyone who discussed the Harrison family's eldest daughter tonight on the Harrison family blacklist. Terminate all collaborations. Cut off all business deals. I'd like to see who still dares to gossip. Lying on the hospital bed, on oxygen, I vaguely thought, oh no, I'm fainting again. But it seems like I accidentally stumbled upon success again. Still, terminating collaborations and cutting off business deals truly fits the rich family setting. So domineering, Meanwhile, Serena, watching me collapse into shock just from being mocked, and seeing the Harrison parents directly use the Harrison family's power to blacklist the guests who mocked me, her eyes filled with disbelief and panic. She probably never imagined that I, the true daughter, wasn't a fierce fighter, nor a long-suffering White Lotus, but a glass doll who shatters at a touch, gets sick at a scolding, and enters an emergency state with just a little grievance. She intended to use others' words to suppress me, but it backfired, making the Harrison parents completely furious out of heartache for me. After the banquet incident, everyone in the Harrison household became even more doting and protective of me. No one dared to utter a bad word in front of me, and Serena was even subtly warned by Mrs. Harrison to cause less trouble outside and don't upset your sister. Serena's expression grew gloomier with each passing day. I continued to lie flat and recuperate every day, drinking traditional Chinese medicine to nourish qi and blood, and eating high-protein nutritional meals. Apart from an occasional dizzy spell due to weakness, I never experienced any more grievances. On the 7th day of my stay at the Harrison house, the doctor finally relented, saying I could appropriately get out of bed and move around, and even go to school for classes. Hearing the words school, my legs instantly turned to jelly reflexively. As a fragile-bodied college student, my fear of school was etched into my DNA. Early morning classes, advanced math, 800-meter runs, dorm inspections, group projects. Each one was a burden too heavy for my life to bear. But Mrs. Harrison said, "Harper, you're 18 now, it's time for university. Your father and I have already transferred you to the best aristocratic university in the city, Haicheng University, in the same class as Serena. From now on, you sisters will go to school together and look out for each other." Haicheng University? In the same class as Serena? I instantly recalled the plot from the original novel. The true daughter and the fake daughter were in the same class, and the true daughter was bullied, isolated, and humiliated by Serena in collusion with the rich second-generation students on campus, eventually collapsing completely due to unbearable school violence. I clutched my chest, trembling. Bullying? Isolation? Humiliation? Let alone me. Even a healthy, strong person couldn't endure that. My fragile body could break a bone if pushed, and suffer palpitations from a single insult. If I were to face school bullying, I could perform a direct death-on-the-spot act. I won't go. I shrunk back, tears welling up in my eyes again. School is so scary. I'll faint. But Serena, seeing my expression, immediately put on a gentle facade and said, "Sister, don't be scared. I'll protect you. No one will dare to bully you." The students at Haiching University are all very friendly, you'll see once you go. Heh, she says it so nicely. But in the original novel, the ringleader of my bullies was Serena's best friend, Brittany, and it was all instigated by Serena herself. I saw the undeniable anticipation hidden deep in Serena's eyes, and I knew she was plotting against me again. She wanted to make me utterly socially ruined at school, to make everyone think I was a rustic, frail, useless true daughter, while she, Serena, would be the Harrison family's eldest daughter, universally adored. Mr. and Mrs. Harrison felt heartache for me, but they also didn't want me to stay at home as a shut-in for the rest of my life. They could only coax me gently. Harper, how about you just try it? Serena will be with you, and if you don't feel well, we'll come straight home, all right. Looking at their expectant gazes, I really couldn't bear to refuse. I could only grit my teeth and nod in agreement. I thought to myself, come what may, I'll face it, and declared, school, here I come. On my first day of school, Harrison's mom prepared a limited edition bag, a haute couture uniform, and the latest model phone for me, decking me out from head to toe, for fear I'd be looked down upon. Serena, wearing the same uniform as me, looked even more elegant and graceful. All the way, she smiled and greeted the students around us, garnering a flurry of Goddess Serena titles. As for me, I trailed behind her, head bowed, walking cautiously for fear of falling. If I really fell, I'd have to see the family doctor again, and I imagined he wouldn't want to see me anymore. The moment we reached the classroom door, a group of boys and girls swarmed around, all surrounding Serena, showering her with greetings and concern. Serena, you're finally here. We haven't seen you in days. We missed you so much. Is this your newly found sister? She looks so fragile. I heard she's in poor health. She's not faking it, is she? Trying to gain sympathy? The murmurs were neither loud nor soft, just right to drift into my ears. Instantly, my scalp prickled, my chest tightened, and my hands and feet turned cold. Being gawked at, being talked about, being secretly scrutinized. This kind of public humiliation was the ultimate nightmare for a socially anxious, fragile college student like me. Having just arrived, I couldn't handle such a heavy blow. I subconsciously took a step back, wanting to hide behind Serena. But then I don't know who secretly stuck out a foot. I was already distracted by their whispers and not paying attention to where I was going, and just like that, I was tripped. I gasped aloud, my body uncontrollably lurching forward. Amidst everyone's gasps, my legs gave out and I fell directly to the ground, my knee hitting hard on the solid floor. The pain made my tears gush out instantly. It wasn't just tears of pain, it was pain, grievance, public humiliation, and nervousness, a combination of multiple overwhelming feelings that completely broke through my defenses. Sister, Serena gasped, trying to help me up, but then stopped herself, as if afraid I'd dirty her clothes, freezing in place. The surrounding students burst into laughter. Haha, she fell so easily? How delicate. Just as expected from someone from the countryside, she can't even walk properly. Even someone frail isn't like this. Is she trying to play the victim? The laughter pricked me like needles. My knee throbbed with excruciating pain, my chest was so tight I couldn't breathe, my heart pounded relentlessly, and my vision kept going dark in waves. I lay sprawled on the ground, unable and unwilling to get up, only able to whimper softly, "Oh my God, it hurts. I'm going to faint. I can't get up." Just then, a cold voice rang out. "What are you all crowding around for? Haven't you caused enough embarrassment?" The crowd automatically parted, and a boy in a black uniform, with handsome features and a chilly aura, walked over. It was Julian, the male lead from the original novel, Serena's devoted admirer. According to the original plot, he would immediately help Serena up, reprimand me for deliberately falling to gain attention, and curse me for being crude, stupid, and scheming. I lay sprawled on the ground, silently sighing in my heart. It's over. The male lead is also here to kick me while I'm down. But the plot didn't follow the original story. Now, the one sprawled on the ground was me. What I didn't expect was that Julian's gaze didn't fall on Serena beside him. Instead, he walked straight to me, frowning deeply as he looked at my swollen and bruised knee and roared at the surrounding students in an icy tone. Who tripped her? Step forward. His gaze swept over them, and everyone became silent, as if frozen in fear. No one dared to speak. Seeing this, Serena reacted, immediately stepping forward and saying softly, "Julian, don't be angry. My sister just fell by accident. It's not anyone's fault." But Julian didn't look at her. Instead, he bent down and carefully lifted me into his arms in a bridal carry. His movements were very gentle, as if afraid of hurting me. His tone was still icy, but carried a trace of imperceptible tension. "You're noisy. Stop crying. I'll take you to the infirmary." Held in his arms, I was completely stunned. The plot is wrong. Shouldn't the male lead hate the true daughter? Why is he carrying me instead? Could it be the butterfly effect? I leaned weakly against his chest, smelling the faint scent of cedarwood on him. My dizziness grew more intense, and I subconsciously gripped his clothes, mumbling softly, "Dizzy. Slower." Julian's movements indeed became even gentler. Behind us, Serena's face was as pale as paper, her eyes filled with disbelief and jealousy. She stared fixedly at our retreating figures, her fingers digging into her palms. The entire class was also stunned. Everyone knew Julian was cold and taciturn, always avoiding girls. Even with Serena, his attitude was merely polite conversation. Who would have thought he'd actually take the initiative to carry this frail true daughter today? What's going on? Meanwhile, Julian carried me to the school infirmary. As soon as the doctor examined me, her expression immediately changed. "Miss Harrison, you have a soft tissue contusion in your knee and a hairline fracture. Why didn't you cry out when it hurt? How could you bear such pain?" "A hairline fracture?" Upon hearing that, my eyes instantly reddened further. To get a fracture from falling on flat ground, my fragile constitution is truly something else. Julian's expression grew colder, and he immediately took out his phone to call Mr. Harrison. 10 minutes later, Mr. and Mrs. Harrison, accompanied by their family doctor, bodyguards, and nurses, stormed into the infirmary in full force, such a grand entrance that they almost broke the infirmary door. "Harper, my daughter." Mrs. Harrison cried heartbrokenly as she looked at my leg in a cast. "Who did this to you? Mom will never let her off." Mr. Harrison immediately ordered, "Investigate. Pull up all the surveillance footage from the classroom today. Whoever dared to harm my daughter, I'll make them pay." Soon, the surveillance results were out. The one who deliberately tripped me was Serena's best friend, Brittany. And the surveillance clearly showed that before Brittany extended her foot, Serena gave her a wink. The evidence was irrefutable. Mrs. Harrison trembled with anger as she watched the surveillance video, then turned to look at Serena, who had followed them, her gaze as icy as if she were looking at a stranger. "Serena, did you instruct Brittany? You want to harm your sister? And I trusted you so much, asking you to look after Harper. Is this how you look after her?" Serena's face turned ashen, and she shook her head repeatedly. "No, Mom. I didn't. It's a misunderstanding. I just asked Brittany to move aside, not to trip my sister." "Enough, Mr. Harrison sharply cut her off. "The surveillance clearly shows everything, and you still want to argue. Harper's health is so poor, and you actually had the heart to harm her. You've disappointed me greatly." Since childhood, Mr. Harrison had never spoken such harsh words to Serena. This was the first time. Serena's eyes instantly reddened, and tears fell, but not from grievance, from panic. She knew that this time, she had completely messed up. I lay on the infirmary bed, my leg in a cast and unable to move, feeling weak, but my mind was perfectly clear. I hadn't intended to expose her, nor to scheme against her. It was just that with my fragile body, one fall led to a fracture. One fracture alarmed the Harrison parents, and once they checked the surveillance, her little trick was completely exposed. Sure enough, lying low to save myself, heaven took care of the rest. In the infirmary, the Harrison parents felt even more heartbroken for me, but their attitude towards Serena became completely cold. Julian stood to the side, looking coldly at Serena, his eyes filled with disgust. When he looked at me, his gaze softened a bit, and he softly said, "From now on at school, stick with me. No one will dare bully you. Male lead, do you know your character setting has collapsed? I don't remember transmigrating into a story where I'm a beloved by all type. I looked at Julian, then at the ashen-faced Serena, and then at the Harrison parents' icy gazes, and that strange thought in my mind grew stronger and stronger. Serena's hostility towards me even carried a kind of anger, as if something that should have been mine was stolen. Coupled with the male lead's strange attitude and the small trick exposed in the surveillance, an extremely bold guess slowly formed in my fragile college student brain. Could these two be reborn? Because of the knee fracture, I stayed at the Harrison family's villa for half a month. During these 2 weeks, Serena was completely neglected by the Harrison parents. She tried to curry favor to explain, but Mrs. Harrison directly refused. Don't come near Harper. I'm afraid you'll upset her again. Her body can't handle any more stress. Serena was completely marginalized, transforming from the Harrison family's beloved daughter, showered with attention, into an invisible person in the household. However, 18 years of affection couldn't vanish in an instant, and the Harrison parents' attitude did soften somewhat later on. As for me now, I was living like an emperor. Because my leg couldn't move, maids would carry me on and off the bed. If I didn't want to eat, someone would coax and feed me. Julian came every day after school to tutor me. Though he spoke little, his actions were extremely gentle, even careful not to hurt me when handing me a book. Sometimes, I could see longing hidden in his gaze when he looked at me. After seeing it often enough, I was sure this guy had definitely been reborn, and with guilt towards the original host. I just didn't know which timeline he was reborn from. If it were according to the original plotline, the male lead and the female lead, Serena, would be in love, and the original host would be a villain who propelled their relationship forward. After rebirth, the male lead shouldn't be looking at me with longing in his eyes. It should be disgust. But everything the male lead was currently displaying was not what was described in the original text. So, this male lead wasn't the male lead from the original storyline. Perhaps it's from some fanfiction? But this wasn't something I should be thinking about. Now, besides eating and sleeping, I spent my days spacing out. My body was getting a little better. At least I wasn't fainting all the time anymore. However, after my knee healed, Mrs. Harrison insisted on taking me to the best private hospital in the city for a full-body checkup, saying she wanted a thorough examination to cure all my minor ailments. I didn't want to go originally. The smell of disinfectant at the hospital made me dizzy, and blood draws were my fatal weakness. I faint at the sight of needles. But Mrs. Harrison was firm, and I couldn't refuse her, so I had no choice but to go along. Serena came along too, claiming she wanted to look after me, but her eyes harbored calculation. I knew she was up to something again. At the hospital, after undergoing various examinations, I was already breathless and pale, slumped in a chair, not wanting to move. When they drew blood, I watched the needle pierce my vein and promptly fainted into Mrs. Harrison's arms, taking ages to come round. The doctors and nurses looked at me, sighing, "Miss Harrison's constitution is far too delicate. She's truly a glass doll." Serena stood to the side, a barely perceptible cold smile playing on her lips. She probably believed that with my frail health, the Harrison family would eventually grow tired of me, and everything belonging to them would ultimately become hers. When all the test results came back, the doctor held the report, his expression growing increasingly grim, his brows tightly furrowed. Mrs. Harrison's heart clenched. "Dr. Miller, is Harper's health very poor? Please tell us directly, we can handle it." I also grew anxious, clutching my chest, terrified of being diagnosed with some terminal illness and dropping dead on the spot. I haven't lived enough yet. I still want to relax and enjoy good food. I don't want to die young. Dr. Miller adjusted his glasses, looking at us with an utterly serious tone. "Mr. Harrison, Mrs. Harrison, there's something I must tell you honestly. This matter is extremely peculiar." He paused, his gaze settling on Serena and me, and slowly began. "According to the DNA paternity test results, Miss Harper is indeed your biological daughter." At these words, Mrs. Harrison breathed a sigh of relief. "We know that. We already had tests done before." "But, Dr. Miller cut her off, his voice deepening. What I want to tell you is something else. Miss Serena has no blood relation whatsoever to Mr. and Mrs. Harrison. Serena's face instantly went ashen. Doctor, what are you saying? How can I not be related by blood to Mom and Dad? Wasn't I swapped at birth 18 years ago? I'm the child from another family. I was also bewildered. Isn't this obvious? The fake heiress naturally has no blood relation to the Harrison family. And didn't they already say that we were switched at birth, that I'm the true heiress, so Serena is obviously fake? Why are they acting like this is brand new information? Could the plot have reset? No, don't tell me this is a holographic game. This is no game. The pain of my fractured bone didn't feel fake, and I experienced all those physical conditions firsthand. They were absolutely real. But Dr. Miller's next words utterly stunned everyone in the room. I'm not talking about that. Dr. Miller looked at Serena, his eyes complex. I'm saying that Miss Serena's DNA completely mismatches that of the infant who was switched with Miss Harper at the hospital where Mrs. Harrison gave birth that year. In other words, Miss Serena isn't even Miss Harper's adoptive parent's child. It was like a lightning bolt struck everyone's heads. I was stunned, Mr. and Mrs. Harrison were stunned, and Serena froze completely, her face ashen as paper, trembling all over. Dr. Miller continued, actually, after Mr. Harrison located Miss Harper, we contacted the hospital in Yun City. After extensive investigation, we retrieved the hospital archives from 18 years ago. Upon investigation, the baby girl born at the same time as Miss Harper and subsequently swapped died on the third day after birth due to congenital heart disease. She didn't survive at all, and certainly couldn't have grown to 18 years old and become Miss Serena. Therefore, Miss Serena, you are not the infant who was swapped back then at all. You were intentionally substituted and sent to the Harrison family afterwards. That last sentence, like a knife, deeply pierced everyone's hearts. I sat in the chair, my mind blank, dizzy from lack of oxygen. So that's it. So this is the real twist. Not switched, but deliberately replaced. Serena isn't some innocent fake heiress. She was deliberately sent to the Harrison family, an imposter who took my place for 18 years. No wonder she was so bent on acquiring everything from the Harrison family. No wonder she harbored such deep animosity towards me. She knew from the very beginning that she was an imposter. From the start, she was here to steal my life. And Harper's adoptive parents didn't know their child had died 3 days after birth, always believing Serena to be their daughter. When the truth about the baby swap came out, they felt guilty towards Harper and were even more careful with Serena, fearing that this daughter would reject them. So, after receiving some money from the Harrison family, they quietly remained in the countryside, not contacting either Harper or Serena, thinking that as long as they were well and healthy, that was enough. Now, Serena has no connection to them, and I don't know how to tell Harper's adoptive parents. Mr. and Mrs. Harrison were utterly stunned, speechless for a long time, their eyes filled with shock and rage. The daughter they had raised for 18 years wasn't merely a swapped child, but someone intentionally substituted? The actual swapped child had died long ago. Mr. Harrison couldn't help but recall how simple and honest Harper's adoptive parents in the countryside were. If they knew their biological daughter had been replaced again and was now gone, how heartbroken they would be. Serena's legs gave out, and she collapsed onto the ground, tears streaming down her face uncontrollably. But it wasn't guilt she felt, it was despair. She hadn't been swapped by mistake, but had been deliberately replaced. The rural parents she had always disdained were not her biological parents. No, it's not like this. Serena shook her head frantically, her words jumbled. It was a mistake. I was swapped by mistake. Dad, Mom, believe me, I truly was swapped by mistake. How could I not have been swapped by mistake? If it was deliberate, who swapped me? Was it that nurse again? Dad, Mom, what he's saying is wrong, isn't it? I was just swapped by mistake. I am their daughter. In that moment, Serena desperately wanted to prove that she was the daughter of those rural parents, for only then could she prove that she had been swapped by mistake and not intentionally replaced. Harrison's mother looked at her, her eyes filled with heartache. "Serena, don't. Don't be afraid." Serena shut her mouth tightly and buried her head in Harrison's mother's embrace. She couldn't believe it was true. Just then, hurried footsteps echoed down the hospital corridor. A woman, elegantly dressed and bearing some resemblance to Serena, burst in, laughing loudly. She cried out to Harrison's father and mother, "How about it? Isn't this fun? Arthur, you deceived me back then, and now I'll make sure neither your biological child nor your non-biological child has an easy life." Listening to the woman's words, I knew she was the one who had replaced Serena. Harrison's father looked at the somewhat frenzied laughing woman and called out her name in disbelief. "Valerie." The truth finally came to light. 18 years ago, Valerie was abandoned by Harrison's father because he and Harrison's mother needed to enter into a marriage alliance. Later, she discovered she was pregnant and went to Harrison's father for responsibility, but he refused her. Heartbroken, she miscarried. Then, watching Harrison's father and mother's deep affection for each other, the jealousy and madness in her heart broke through her reason. She resented Harrison's father for abandoning her, and she resented Harrison's mother for taking her place. So she sought revenge. She wanted them to also experience the pain of losing a child. But when she secretly took the original Harrison child, she saw the child's innocent big eyes and was reminded of her own unborn child. So she changed her plan. She would replace the original child with another, allowing that child to enjoy everything the Harrison family had. Unfortunately, the child originally intended to replace the true Harrison child was very unhealthy after Valerie took her. Seeing that the child wouldn't survive, Valerie discarded her and found another from her own family. At that time, her brother's wife was also giving birth in the same hospital. She swapped her brother's wife's baby with the true Harrison child, giving the true Harrison child to the rural couple. In fact, when Valerie placed the true Harrison child in the rural couple's room, she thought, "Your child isn't healthy. I'm giving you a healthy one. You should be grateful to me." Then, she quietly placed the rural couple's child in her brother's wife's room. This also served as revenge for her sister-in-law's years of abuse. Back then, Valerie's sister-in-law, Janet, frequently used the property left by Valerie's mother to sow discord between Valerie and her brother. If one were to talk about Valerie's feelings for her brother, Valerie felt she had always been good to him. When her brother was sick, she rushed him to the hospital overnight. She paid for his schooling, and even gave him everything she received while dating Harrison's father. Yet, after she was abandoned by Harrison's father, her brother ran off with the money she had given him. By the time she finally found him, her brother and sister-in-law were living a lavish life with her money. So she sought revenge. "Why should you two live happily while I alone am abandoned? Isabella, do you think this man truly loves you? If he really loved you, he wouldn't have hidden my existence while he was with you. But none of that matters anymore. I am the winner now. Look at your biological daughter, a sickly child. She won't get better now, and she won't get better in the future. And look at this fake daughter, my brother, due to his gambling addiction, went to jail for robbery. And my sister-in-law, if she knows that her biological daughter, even if it's exposed that she has no blood relation to the Harrison family, can still remain with them, do you think she'll come looking for you? She will torment you forever until she bleeds you dry." That last sentence, Valerie directed at Serena. I stood by, utterly bewildered. This relationship was far too messy. Now, my only concern was my adoptive parents' daughter. She was so small, yet she experienced being swapped by mistake, then replaced, and, even until her death, she never returned to her true family. Even now, her biological parents don't know that child is gone. I couldn't help but ask Valerie, "You've said so much, but what about my mother's daughter? Where did you put the girl you swapped out?" Valerie froze, looking a little bewildered. She hadn't expected me to ask that. After thinking for a moment, she lowered her gaze to her hands and said, "I swapped her out and gave her to my sister-in-law. She stayed with my sister-in-law for 3 days, then, due to a congenital health condition, she died prematurely. They buried her. I went to see her that day too. She was truly beautiful, but sadly, she wasn't mine. If she had been mine, I wouldn't have had to swap their child. I wouldn't have to let this fake stay here. At this point, Valerie's expression grew somewhat frantic. And you, if she had been mine, you wouldn't be here. Ha 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 ha. Valerie pointed at me, laughing maniacally. I thought she was a little mad, yet not entirely. Perhaps she was just momentarily lost in her own delusion. I hoped she wasn't truly mad, because only then could she be punished. And only then would my adoptive parents and that deceased girl receive justice. On the other side, Serena, held in Mrs. Harrison's arms, couldn't accept her own background. She didn't want a gambler for a biological father and a mother who would always bleed her dry. So, while I was questioning Valerie, and while Valerie was laughing maniacally, Serena had already stood up from Mrs. Harrison's embrace, her gaze calm and sharp. Just as everyone was focused on Valerie, Serena swiftly picked up a pair of forceps used for examinations nearby and plunged them into Valerie's neck. Once, twice. Everyone reacted just as she was about to stab a third time. First, Dr. Miller grabbed Serena's hand, then Mr. Harrison embraced Serena, snatching away the blood-stained weapon. Mrs. Harrison, meanwhile, covered her face with both hands, screaming in terror. As for me, the gushing blood made my vision blur. I think I was probably a little squeamish about blood. Immediately after, I heard myself collapse and nurses calling the police. When I opened my eyes again, the farce of the true and false heiresses had already concluded. I, the true heiress, had finally rightfully returned to my position. There was no abusing villains, no dramatic comeback, no tearing apart White Lotus characters. I simply lay still quietly, recuperated quietly, and quietly lived my life as a frail university student. All the schemes and conspiracies, all the lies and deceptions, crumbled of their own accord before my fragile body. Serena, having suffered mental stimulation and exhibiting actions endangering others, was sent to a psychiatric hospital for treatment. Valerie, because Serena's stab wounds weren't deep, was saved. However, her vocal cords were damaged, and she was sentenced to prison for intentionally swapping infants and being suspected of child abduction. Mr. and Mrs. Harrison also developed a rift because of this incident. However, so many years had passed, and the cooperation between the Harrison and Isabella families was deeply bound, making divorce impossible. They could only continue to live together, treating each other with polite respect, waiting for my older brother, who was abroad, to return and take over the company. Actually, I also had a question when I came here. Wasn't there supposed to be an older brother, a supporting male character, in this book? Why hadn't I seen him after all this time? But when I woke up, I learned that he was abroad and couldn't return yet because he hadn't completed his studies. While I was wondering what kind of studies could be so difficult, Mrs. Harrison whispered, "Your brother has been there for 7 years now. He was supposed to come back in 3, then it was 5, and now it's already 7 years." As soon as Mrs. Harrison finished speaking, I think I knew what kind of place it was. A saying floated into my mind: 3 years in Germany will be the most unforgettable 7 years of your 5 years. So, it wasn't just a saying. It applied even in the world of this novel. Fortunately, I didn't have to go abroad. After all, my body was already like this in China. If I went abroad, it might not even be as good as staying domestic. As for my adoptive parents, they were very saddened to learn that Serena was not their biological daughter, and that their own biological daughter had died prematurely 18 years ago. Watching them, an unspeakable pain welled up in my heart. That infant had done nothing wrong, yet because someone wanted revenge, she was forced to leave her family, and then died prematurely. She was the most innocent one. Later, I accompanied my adoptive parents to bring her back. Looking at that small grave, I couldn't help but sigh. This book is truly melodramatic. As for the male lead, although Julian often came to see me after that injury, I wouldn't be with him. For no other reason than that I hadn't had enough of my single life. Moreover, I was single before transmigrating, and being single is great, especially being rich and single, even better. As for the male lead and such, he should just wait for the female lead to recover. After all, they are the official couple. As I was enjoying the luxurious life here, I suddenly felt an electric shock. My vision went black, and I passed out. When I woke up again, I saw my long-unseen roommates and my advisor, who was looking at me with a look of utter disappointment and frustration. Before I could ask anything, my advisor launched into a passionate tirade. "You've really outdone yourself, haven't you? With a body like yours, you're still staying up late reading novels. It's a wonder it didn't kill you. Your poor heart was pounding like crazy. If it weren't for the emergency equipment in your dorm, I'd probably be waiting for the police in the principal's office right now." With my roommate's help, I sat up and quickly apologized to my advisor. "Advisor, I'm truly sorry. It won't happen again." The advisor looked at my pale face, fuming with anger. You still think there'll be a next time? Next time we might not even be able to meet again." With that, the advisor turned to report to the school administration that everything was okay. Leaving my roommates and me, they helped the doctors lift me onto a stretcher, and then I saw the long-unseen hospital once more. This time there was no Serena, no true or fake heiress, as if everything I had experienced before was just a dream. Not long after, my parents also rushed over. Later, I was discharged from the hospital and returned to my dorm. I was still the same as before I transmigrated into the book. My body remained fragile, but at least I could wake up for my 8 a.m. classes, and after running 800 meters, I would at most feel dizzy, but I wouldn't pass out before finishing. Like before. Only my low blood sugar persisted, ready to strike anytime, anywhere. And so, I returned to my original life. Until one day, I reopened the book Wealthy Families, True and Fake Heiress, President Daddy's Intense Affection on my bookshelf. The title had changed, and even the description had changed. Perhaps only this could prove that what I had experienced wasn't just a dream.